Hey, if you could state your name.
Janine Sobek.
Okay, and so tell me, what is dramaturgy?
Dramaturgy is a field in the theater that is a lot of fun. We kind of work in 4 basic areas.
Okay.
We work with the area that we're most famous for is the research, so understanding historical or cultural or thematic context of the play. We work with playwrights in developing their work as kind of a sounding board to help them develop their storylines. We work with, in the rehearsal, as another pair of eyes and ears for the director, as well as helping any actors who might have historical or dramaturgical questions throughout the process. And then we also work in audience education, so program notes or study guides. We have here at BYU, we have an interactive blog to kind of create a web presence. We host post-show discussions, anything to help the audience understand the show that they are going to see in the theater.
Cool, thanks. And in terms of your specialty, you actually have a background in Commedia.
Yes.
Okay, so could you talk a little bit about your background and then kind of a brief basis of what Commedia is?
Sure. I got interested in Commedia as an undergrad, and I had lived over in Italy for a while, so I was interested in their theater form. So I studied it as a student. I directed a bunch of shows as both an undergrad and a graduate student.
Oh, cool.
I got some grants to go over to Italy to attend Commedia festivals and to go to Chicago to be trained by a Commedia master. And then I wrote my graduate thesis on Commedia.
Wow. Yeah. So Commedia, talk a little bit about, what time period that came from and what it consists of traditionally. Sure.
Commedia had its heyday for about 200 years in the 17th and 18th century.
It's not very long, gee.
No, not long at all. So it started in the country that we now know as Italy. It was based off of previous art forms and previous theater forms that they kind of molded and turned into their own, and it was based on it was a very specific genre. So you had specific stock characters that were in every show, like the lovers or the old men or the crazy servants. You had scenarios that were coming out of stories that everybody knew and that were recycled from story to story. You had masks that were used, and you had what is called lozzi, or comedic bits of comedy that were usually very physical. The idea of slapstick comedy comes from Commedia, because they literally had a slapstick, which was 2 pieces of wood that you would bang together and create a slapping noise, and you would beat people on stage to get people to laugh. And so it was really popular both in Italy and outside. The Commedia troops would travel all over Europe, and we have record of them traveling into like Russia and Japan and kind of all over that continent.
That's really cool. And in terms of Servant of Two Masters, that was originally, Goldoni was originally an Italian playwright, but our translation is a little bit different. Could you talk about how Commedia has changed in our version?
Yeah, so towards the end of Commedia's run, it kind of degraded a little bit, and Goldoni, who was an Italian theater artist, and had started his career writing the scenarios for Commedia companies, was really interested in kind of reforming this theater form that his country was famous for and turning it into something that was more respectful than what it had turned into. And so he took